Okay guys, today I want to talk about the Spiral Abyss, and more importantly, the amount of BS we have to deal with to clear it. Because a big fear of mine is that eventually they're going to keep buffing it until without either better free-to-play options for weapons or easier ways to get artifacts and constellations for characters, we might be left in the dark against the DPS checks. First off about this Abyss cycle in general is the Rift Downs, and how fun they are to fight. Said literally no one in the entire community, and aside from corrosion, which I don't hate as a mechanic overall since it gives healers a place, it's their stupid AI that decides to jump all over the Abyss. On top of that, as you are about to see, when the big hounds dash backwards to attack you, their hitbox will still be there, which will block your movement, but even though their hitbox is still there, their hurt box moves with them. So if their hurt box is moving with them without issue, why is the hitbox still there, preventing us from going after them to deal damage, since you know this is timed and you only get 3 minutes to get a 3-star clear, which makes it not frustrating at all. I was watching Imbiosity stream yesterday as he was trying for his 36-star clear, which he got, so big bog to him, well played homie, but the chat seemed to be confused on how the hounds work. So whenever you deal damage to the Rift Hounds, it will build rage gradually, and eventually they will enter their rage mode where they attack faster, tend to dash around a lot, and deal a little more damage. And if they are attacked by the same element, the hounds enrage faster, but have their resistance to that element reduced. So it kind of really drives home use Geo on the Geo Hounds and use Electro on the Electro Hounds, which makes the aspect of team building kind of ride a thin line, since your creative freedom with your team is limited to what enemies you fight instead of what makes a good all-rounder team, but I'll talk about more on that in another video. As for the Magu Kenki floor, oh boy, when there's 3 of them, at least they don't randomly become immune to all damage, even though they do have a glaring issue that sometimes, as you'll see in the fights, they just kind of start walking around almost aimlessly. They sometimes just kind of go on a stroll for an amount of time after attacking, and more often than not, they wander away from the other, making grouping them feel so impossible. Like, seriously, can we just move him out of the Abyss already? But again, at least the 3 Magus don't go immune like the single one does, and it also doesn't take 10 seconds wasting time standing up. So I guess there is a plus there. Then for the 3rd chamber, we're greeted with the Crab Boy and the Cruiser. So you honestly have to grind RNG here to get the tank to do the jump attack on top of you while hitting the Cruiser after stunning it, to get them grouped, AoE them down, and yeah, I know, resets until it happens, and if something else goes wrong, because you still have to fight 5 more hounds after these 2 mechanical enemies, that's another reset on reset on reset, which is very frustrating. And honestly, the 2 mechanical enemies and the 2 ruin guards are the easiest part. They're the easiest part. It's getting the hounds to cooperate with you and not do the dash back attack you. Honestly, with all the enemies in the game that just stall so much time for pretty much no reason at all, it's really frustrating that it's still timed to 3 minutes for a 3-star. Because most of the mobs on Chamber 3 of Floor 12 have the health of what feels like all of Floor 9 combined. And it's eventually going to get to the point, I'm afraid of anyway, that free-to-plays aren't going to have the damage to clear this. So why not give us more time? I did get my 36-star clear on my main account though. I'll show that, and the teams I used that farm the AI RNG. I decided not to farm it for the recording and just accept some of the 2-star clears, because honestly it's just really annoying and it took me a really long time. Now I'd like to bring up the issue of the rewards for clearing Spiral Abyss, because Spiral Abyss is kind of like our only end game, which isn't a very good one in my opinion, and we really need like more repeatable content, kind of like the dungeon event that was out, the Dungeon Warriors event. That was very fun because they could make these generated floors, they can make them different, and they can put different enemies in them, and they can make it harder, and they can make it not timed, and they can make it so fun. But for now, we only have Spiral Abyss. So is Spiral Abyss honestly worth all the frustration? And honestly, in my opinion, no. You get 50 Primo Gems for every 3-star clear. So you get a total of 150 Primo Gems if you 9-star a floor. With 4 floors, you're only getting 600 Primo Gems. And for the amount of difficulty and the amount of farming you have to do to get teams prepared to even remotely come close to 9-starring floor 12, it just seems very lackluster of a reward to give so much effort and so much investment. Because again, this is a team building game. But you can't always use characters in the Abyss that you really love if they're not really built. And that's very frustrating to me because I'm someone, I love making builds. I play Monster Hunter, I play Dark Souls. I love making builds, and it's really frustrating to me when I'm not given the creative freedom to use, teams that I enjoy. Granted, I am using Jean, Albedo, Tartaglia, Raiden. These are like 4 characters I absolutely adore. I put them in any team that I have the room to put them in. I love them a lot, and that kind of works out for me. But for people who don't have Geo on their account, for people who don't have good Electro on their account, they're just kind of screwed, and that's not okay in my opinion. Mihoyo could literally make this a free 10 pool. And I know that's asking for a lot, so please don't tell me I'm asking for too much in the comments. I understand that's asking for a lot, but all I'm saying is they could give us way more Primo Gems or resources or even artifacts or just resin. They could throw resin in it as well. But as it stands, the rewards for Spiral Abyss are not that great. They're definitely not good enough to call fighting the Rift Hounds and the Magukinki AI and how much you have to actually reset if you're not a whale to get the 3-star clear. It definitely doesn't make it feel worth it outside of the fact that I like challenging content. I really do. I love Dark Souls and other games like that. Like Neo 2 is one of the hardest games I've played, and I absolutely adore it. But the issue with Spiral Abyss is it doesn't feel necessarily difficult. It just feels really damage spongy, and it just feels really artificially difficult, if that makes sense. Like, the enemies themselves, they're not very difficult to fight. They're just not. They have a pretty basic attack routine. It's honestly not that difficult, but what makes them difficult is that their health bars are so insane, the time limit is so limited, and I have to make sure every single rotation is perfect in order for me to get these 3-star clears. And that's just so frustrating to only get 50 Primo Gems for hours of farming. For hours of farming AI, I get 50 Primo Gems. That is just really frustrating. I really don't like it. But hey, you guys can tell me what you think about it in the comments. You guys can tell me what teams you used or plan to use to tackle the Abyss Hounds in floor 12. Do you think clearing Spiral Abyss with a full 36-star clear is worth the trouble, worth the investment, worth the time? And if not, what do you think they should do to change it to make it more worth your time? Again, in the video, didn't get the full 36-star clear. Well, the full 9-star clear on the 12th floor, just because I didn't want to make myself go insane by grinding out the AI RNG. But I will show that I did get it, and I will show the teams that I used to get it. So, yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. Tell me who you're going to use. Tell me if you think it's worth it. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
油断した瀬戸際だろ俺の得意分野さやっ 隙を見せるのはほんの一瞬だ。兵器神速。
お嬢様の
異形を見届けよ。
風よ、私に応えるのだ。